Sir John Whittingdale.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. There have been some very powerful speeches in this debate from both sides of the House, and one of the things which is apparent is that everybody is agreed that Peter Mandelson should never have been appointed as ambassador to Washington. It matters because ambassadors are critically important to our nation. They are the leaders in projecting our soft power. They are viewed as embodiments of the United Kingdom, and it is them who influence very largely how the UK is perceived. As has been said, we have had some really good ambassadors to the United States, going back to the late Sir Christopher Mayer, who I knew well, who did a terrific job, Lord Kim Darroch, and as been said, Dame Karen Pierce. And even sometimes there have been good political appointments. There was a certain amount of controversy when Peter Jay was appointed US ambassador. He was the son-in-law of the Prime Minister, but he did a reasonable job. Ed Llewellyn became our ambassador in Paris and now Rome and has done a terrific job. But as the chair of the Select Committee pointed out, when Ed Llewellyn was appointed, because it was a political appointment, he was interrogated by the Select Committee. As the chair has said, the committee of which I serve have attempted several times, indeed numerous times, to have Peter Mandelson appear. We are told that by the Foreign Office in their most recent letter to the chair of the committee, that the committee did have an opportunity to talk to him on a visit to Washington. Oh. Well, I can say, because I was at both meetings, the first was a briefing about the state of American politics when we first arrived, and the second was a breakfast where he hosted opinion formers to discuss with us what was happening in the US Capitol. At no stage did we have any opportunity to cross-examine or ask Peter Mandelson the questions which we would wanted to ask had he appeared before the Select Committee, and it is ridiculous to try and suggest that that somehow is compensation for his failure to appear. Of course I could...
I'm grateful to the Right Honourable Member, and having been there with him at those Foreign Affairs Committee meetings, we should also say that there was no opportunity for us to quiz Lord Mandelson in a public setting.
He is absolutely right, and it would have been important that we had that opportunity. Maybe had we done so, some of the questions which are now being asked could have been asked then, and we could have explored rather more why the decision was taken to appoint him, which I have to say is still causing bewilderment to a large number of people. But as has been said, it is now apparent that he should never have been appointed. I'm not going to recap what my right honourable friend, the member for Goole, and many others have said about his record, about his previous resignations, about his unsavoury links, all of which should have rung every alarm bell. But of course I give way.
I'm grateful to right honourable friend. He's making a very important intervention. Does he not agree, though, there is a tendency to say, well, this debate is about what we can do in the future. This debate is about what has gone wrong in the past, and the government's role in that, and for the Prime Minister to shoulder the responsibility and take us through what he knew.
I think my right friend is absolutely right, and actually the two are related. Because lessons learned and what we do in the future, we can only determine the lessons and decide what to do in the future if we know what went wrong this time. And in order to know, we have to obtain the answers to the questions. Now, the chair of the Select Committee actually set out a number of very important questions, and she ran through those in her contribution, and we have now had an answer from the Foreign Office. She referred to the letter that was sent to her. What we know from the letter, and it doesn't tell us much, what we know from the letter, first of all, is the Foreign Office had nothing really to do with it. They say to us that the appointment was carried out following the Propriety and Ethics Committee investigation, which was carried out in the Cabinet Office. The Foreign Office was then told of this. They were instructed to appoint Lord Mandelson as ambassador, and after his appointment was announced, the FCDO started the ambassadorial appointment process, including national security vetting. Now, national security vetting, deep vetting has been referred to. We need to know what that says. However, we are told by the Foreign Office that the process of national security vetting is independent of ministers who are not informed of any findings other than the final outcome. So essentially, what appears to have been the case is that the Foreign Office is saying, well, we told he's passed, but we're not going to be told anything about what was uncovered, about the questions that were asked, what his answers would be. And yet this is somebody who already had very serious offences against him that had caused him to resign twice, where there were real question marks about his record, both as a European Commissioner, about some of his friendships. All of these, one assumes, must have been asked at deep vetting, and yet he passed. The final outcome was fine, he can be appointed, and the Foreign Office are told that, and they're not given any other detail. I mean, frankly, I find that completely astonishing. And it does raise the questions even more seriously that we must find out what that process was and what the deep vetting showed, and why, if it really is the case that ministers were not given any detail about what the process uncovered, they didn't actually ask any questions about it. And that is something which I look forward to the Minister addressing when he responds. I give way to another of my fellow members of the committee.
I thank the honourable member for giving way, and he's right to highlight the repeated requests that the committee made to meet with Lord Mandelson before his appointment. He also raises the various responses that we've got from the Foreign Secretary and the important fact that there are questions over the suitability of the appointment. There must also be questions over the Prime Minister's judgment. Did he ask to see the PET report before making the appointment? Did he ask to see the security vetting report? Did he read them? Did he go ahead despite their content?
Asks very valid questions, and we do need to have the answers to all of those. And he and I know he will join me in pressing for the Foreign Affairs Committee to continue to press this case, but it may well be that another body, perhaps the Liaison Committee, that does have the opportunity to interrogate the Prime Minister, will also pursue these matters. Because, as has been said several times in the debate, this is not going to go away. There is real anger out there across this House and in the country, and people will demand to know answers. We attempted today to try and begin to put those questions by summoning two members from the Foreign Office and from the Cabinet Office, and the committee was told that neither was available. Well, I can tell the House that I have some experience at summoning people who don't wish to attend before select committees, and there is a procedure. And I hope that when we return after recess, the committee will pursue these matters, that we will require ministers to appear, and if they don't do so, or if others refuse, then we will look to see what other actions can be taken. But I've finished by saying these are very serious matters. The questions have been asked. The answers so far have not been forthcoming, and we will go on pursuing this until they are.